G'day, mates, and people who have no idea who I am and just found this in their recommendations feed. Adam Clery from FourFourTwo, yes, that is me. And Tottenham now seemingly are bad. While they did salvage some pride at the end of the Liverpool game, it was mostly bad, and losing the North London derby is bad, and the Chelsea game was bad, and the Newcastle game was bad. So now, understandably, people are starting to ask questions about the team, about the individuals, about the system, about the manager, and the main question amongst those is, what the f***'s gone wrong? And, well, I'll show you. Okay, so, mate ball. It was brilliant in 2023. It's been less good in 2024, but there was a little section in that Liverpool game, a run of a few minutes, where I think you saw every single little reason why it's not been as effective. And just really quickly, before I start, I want to lay this out for you, right? It is a rainy, miserable bank holiday Monday here in London. I want nothing more than to be sprawled out on my sofa, reading a book with something simmering away deliciously on the hob. So if this video feels slightly phoned in, maybe even a little bit rushed, that's why. We should still subscribe anyway, because, you know, normally the effort is levels. Right, anyway, yes, Tottenham, this is a 4-3-3, and I know they normally don't play that. They normally play a 4-2-3-1, because especially when James Maddison is fit, you want to be able to get him nearer the goal. But the principles of what they're trying to do are slightly easier to explain with a 4-3-3, so just bear with me. What they're looking to do is play out from the back, have two centre-backs and a goalkeeper who are very accomplished on the ball. Then the two full-backs, either at the same time or they may interchange, they both come centrally into the middle of the pitch. The 2-8 get right up alongside the centre forward, and the wide players, there they go, they get chalk on their boots. They attempt to stretch the defence, and from there everybody pushes all the way up the pitch, and you get these really clever, inventive little triangles between the number 8, the wide forward, and the fullback, where they can all sort of rotate, they can all interchange, they can all just basically try and exploit the space and find numerous different ways to goal. And if you can be brave enough to cast your mind all the way back to the start of the season, you will remember that most teams in the league just did not have a clue what to do with this. Now, the Bournemouth game was a million years ago, but you can see it working so perfectly. Here, Son and 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗧𝗏, they are miles apart. They are both so wide, and you can see here Bournemouth's defence, as a result, really stretched. Like, you could park something really big. I can't think of a joke for that, actually. What could you park in that? Jurgen Klopp's teeth. Anyway, yes, as you can see, they've got one of these little interchangeable triangles here. Bissouma, who is the 6, has come across to help. And there's just... everybody is marked, but there's so much room. So if you can be brave with the ball, if you can slip your man, anything can happen. And that's what happens. Bissouma drops his shoulder, and that is the activation for everyone else to get out of their marked positions and into the space that is available. And from there, it's all just movement and running, and Bournemouth don't know whether to stick to their man and get pulled out of position, or try and stay in the defensive block and hope they can't be passed through. And James Maddison, who was on the other side of this equation, nobody paying attention to him, now ghosts into the gap that has, of course, been left because Son is still really wide, and he scores. And, of course, the very important point about that clip is while it does start here, out wide, it very quickly allows Tottenham to do the thing they're trying to do, and that's play through the middle. So, why is that not working? Why have we not seen that kind of goal from Spurs in quite a while? Well, because this was the scene at Anfield. This was the shape they found themselves up against. Liverpool are paying not a blind bit of attention to the players who are out wide. They are instead staying nice and compact in the middle. If Tottenham want to go long and hit either of the wide players, that's up to them. They can do that, and then they'll shuffle across, but at no stage will they be allowing players to drift out wide to mark them and thus open up the space in the middle. And the problem, of course, is that this is the shape they found themselves up against in the Arsenal game. This is the shape they found themselves up against in the Chelsea game. And this is the shape they found themselves up again in the Newcastle game. In every single one of those matches, Tottenham dominated the possession. Home or away, didn't matter. Quality of opposition, didn't matter. Tottenham found themselves with more of the ball than their opponents, but got roundly beaten. And that gives us this frankly bewilderingly insane graphical overlay, right? This is Tottenham's average positions across the full game against Liverpool. Now, this isn't necessarily always the case, but it tends to be the more possession you have, the more territory you have. So if you look at these graphs a lot, you'll tend to see the teams that have loads of the ball tend to be pushed further and further up, right? So just keep that in mind. Tottenham had way more of the ball than Liverpool did, and yet all 5 of these players, their entire central midfield block, plus Porro, plus 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗏, could not really contribute much beyond the halfway line. Now, the 2 exceptions here are obviously Brennan Johnson, who did a good job running in behind, that's kind of his thing, and Son, who played most of the game as the centre forward, so that's fairly to be expected. But everybody else, just there's no incision, there's no penetration in Liverpool at all. And the truly just hog wild thing about this is Liverpool's. They had less of the ball, and yet still Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, McAllister, Gakpo, Diaz, Elliott, Salah, they're all doing most of their work in Tottenham's half. Tottenham just spent so much of that first half, especially, just looking at Liverpool's compact 2 banks of 4 and just not really knowing what to do. So passing it from left to right, moving the ball around, hoping some space was going to open up, but just having nothing. No real idea how to go through it, how to go around it, how to get in behind it. And probably the best way to illustrate just how sort of flat and anemic their play's been the last couple of weeks, right, is this is Son's heat map from the game as a whole, right? So it looks quite exciting because on this left-hand side, you could see he was trying to get in the space behind Alexander-Arnold, he was trying to get a Quansah, he was getting on the ball, he was running, he was making stuff happen here. But this was 90 minutes, right? So I'm just going to overlay this with every single touch of the ball he had, full stop, in the first half. Like, there were only 2 touches, full stop, anywhere near Liverpool's goal, right? And one of these was him rolling the ball back after a counter-attack slowed down, and the other was a miscontrol. And the thing is, I can remember earlier in the season where that was still his job. Like, he was playing as the centre forward, but he was dropping out of the area into the space, allowing people to run beyond them and playing them in. Like, he set up a brilliant chance against Arsenal doing this exact thing. But if I show you as well, get rid of the touches, these are all his passes from the Liverpool match. And there are literally 2 in that entire first 45 minutes, 2 that go forward in an even remotely dangerous area. And both of those are, again, out to the flank as Tottenham are just horseshoeing it round Liverpool's defensive block. So, yeah, this is concerning that teams seem to have figured out how to stop Tottenham, and it's becoming so predictably and consistently effective. But what should be more worrying, something that shouldn't be happening, is that they appear to have figured out how to really get at Tottenham on the ball as well, and that's a bad combination. So this is every single time Liverpool regained the ball in Tottenham's own third. So every time they turned the ball over high, and that is a Premier League record. There was a little spell in that first half that showed you just this entire problem all coalescing together. Like, Spurs are facing Liverpool's low block. They cannot get through it. Liverpool start to press out a little bit, get a bit more aggressive. Spurs don't have the confidence to then play through the space that gives, because it's still very tight, it's very difficult. That's not a criticism, that's understandable. So they turn around and they go back to their centre-backs and their goalkeeper, and then Liverpool pounce. And the anxiety, the apprehension, the lack of belief in what they're trying to do is so visible. And these passes are loose, they are astray, they put their teammates in trouble. And time again, Liverpool would then take the ball off Spurs. And I think they got like 4 or 5 chances out of that. Like, this is it in the second half. There's no confidence to what Spurs are doing. And Harvey Elliott takes the ball off Emerson Royal, puts the cross in, and Gakpo basically kills the game at 3-0. The real issue they've got, though, is that this clearly is not working and looks really bad when you start to unpick it. But it is also 100% the plan. Like, they keep getting caught out in these situations trying to sort of delicately play out from the back, because it is in their DNA to always try and play out from the back and never to just hump it long and lose the ball that way. And then sure enough, if you look at the numbers, they are behind only enormous passing nerds Brighton and Man City for the number of completed short passes, and they are bottom of the entire league for the number of completed long passes. And they also want games to be really transitional, don't they? Like, it's all about like how they react when they lose the ball and how they react when they win the ball. And then sure enough, you look at the numbers for that, they have the lowest passes per defensive action in the Premier League. Which, if that is a new bit of terminology to you, it is like, how much on average will you let the opposition do before you challenge them for it? Spurs will let you do the least. And this has been really effective for them. Like, they've turned the ball over in the final third, the 4th most in the league, and they've got the 3rd highest number of goals from doing it. But also, at the same time, when you invite this level of chaos, like, this is not an uncommon sight. Like, Spurs are 2nd in the league this season for the number of high turnovers they've conceded. So they're really bad at not giving the ball away in the area they don't want to give the ball away. So Postecoglou is kind of right in what he's been saying about them not needing a plan B or to make major changes. It's just that they need to do plan A better. And I think, like, the point I want to make with this video, right, is that this is a fucking insane way to play your football. Like, it's massive risk for potentially massive rewards, right? And Postecoglou has been playing it all season with what is effectively just a bunch of lads he's inherited. Like, I know it sucks getting, like, beat off Chelsea and humped off Newcastle and thumped by Liverpool and just losing the North London derby under any circumstances, and it can feel in that situation like your season is imploding a little bit, but just take a little step back. Right, the expectation for Tottenham this season was really low, and doing this in imperfect circumstances has them 5th. But this is purely a personal take, and if you're a Spurs fan, you'll probably watch them more than I have. If you don't share it, that's absolutely fine. But I look at this Tottenham team being unable to play through these really deep, compact blocks of players, and I see this Tottenham team getting caught out trying to pass the ball around the back, and I just think that's a transfer market issue. Surely, like, Ange hasn't really been able to go and get the kind of profiles in he really wants, and surely, if you get players who are better in these situations, you will be better in these situations. Like, they'll be more able to break these things down, and they'll be less likely to give it away. Surely. Right, look, just think about it this way, right? You have a choice of how you choose to perceive this season, okay? And I think it's quite neatly summed up by 2 stats I saw on the internet yesterday, okay? First of all, someone at Sky Sports posted this thing saying that if Tottenham don't beat Burnley, then Postecoglou will have a worse win percentage than 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗏𝗡. And that sounds really bad. But also, during the actual match itself, Sky showed this statistic, which is how Jurgen Klopp did in his first full season. You know, big personality manager with a big sort of footballing philosophy and trying to get players to buy into it and play it. And this is Arteta. Big personality, big footballing philosophy. This is how he got on in his first season trying to implement it. And Postecoglou, who, let us not forget, is the only one of those managers to lose his best player right as he takes the job and have to completely rebuild everything about how they play, is almost certainly going to get more points than the pair of them and has already scored more goals than the pair of them. So, you know, feels bad now, occasionally looks even worse than it feels, but first season, trying to do something this big and this clever with some of these fucking idiots. I don't think 5th's bad, man. I think 5th's fun. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it there now because I'm absolutely desperate to go home and stick a Spag ball on. When was the last time you had Spag ball? Oh, I can't wait. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, nice low bar you've got there, but please do consider subscribing to us here on FourFourTwo. It gets better and less unhinged, I promise. We would also really like to know, Spurs fans, how are you feeling about the season? How are you feeling about Postecoglou? Shows of support and shows of derision, both welcome in the comments. And if you think you're too good for down there, you can get me on social media at Adam Clery. There it is, Clery, and the 442 socials are in the corner of the video. We do have, there is a new issue of the magazine, which is out now and you can get, but I haven't brought it downstairs yet. I'm not going to show you the old one, Tottenham fans, because it's a big Arsenal cover, and you've suffered enough this weekend, so that's the end of my messaging and the end of the video. Goodbye.